Command Point is sponsored by Crossfire Games. Use code CommandPoint25 at checkout to get 5% off your next purchase. Link in the description.
Hello, everybody, and welcome back to Command Point, and more importantly, welcome back to the 12 Days of Kill Team. It's been exactly 1 year. Funny how that works. And we are here today on the very first day of Kill Team in 2024, and I am joined by none other than West Coast monster, world champion player, one of the top American players in the country, Jimmy Kelly. Jimmy, how's it going?
It's going great, man. I'm just finding out right now, and you probably told me that this is the first day of Kill Team. I feel so honored. That's amazing.
Yeah, it
Thank
is.
you.
It is the first day. It's quite an honor. I'm trying to remember who it was last year. I definitely can't remember who it was 2 years ago. Might have been Dakota last year, maybe. He was one of the first
That
days
would make
last year.
sense. That's
Um,
cool.
but today, Jimmy, we're talking about kind of an old flame of yours, but maybe a team you want to go back to. Nemesis Claw, the Night Lords.
Oh yeah, love the Nemesis Claw. I love the vibes. I think of all the teams I've played, they're the team I've had the most fun with. I love the team. They're fun. Like that's a team I could take and lose with and just have a great game. Love the team.
They're very cool. So I guess getting into like the reason that you like the team, and I guess for somebody that is kind of getting into Kill Team, or maybe they're already into Kill Team, but they're looking for a new faction and they're looking at Nemesis Claw. Why, in your opinion, should somebody play the Night Lords? Like, what about the play style and aesthetic appeals to you? I guess.
Okay, so first of all, I feel any team you're going to get into, the number one thing you got to go for is fun. This is a game.
Hmm.
I think so many people focus on the meta and the strength or whatever else, and especially if you're getting into it, go for a team that is fun to play. And a one box team, this is like you got one box, you got a few models to build and paint. Elite teams are great entry level. Right now with the meta balance, elites feel very oppressive and they feel like the meta teams too. But I don't know if you how your vibe is from talking to people, but no one really thinks of Nemesis as the oppressive elite team right now. So like they're this really good spot if they're strong, they have a lot of strengths, it's an easy team to build, but you're not going to be that guy at the tournament. If you bring Legionary, if you
Hmm.
bring Warp Coven. I feel like they're in a really great spot. And if you especially if you're not new to it, it's fun. Like the Vox scream is fun to crush people's dreams in a fun way. It's way less aggravating than Inquisition's like turning off your ploys. The Vox scream is fun to use. The team has good melee strength. It's got good shooting. They're durable. They don't piss people off with having turning off AP reduction. So you still got to play them well, but they just feel like a really great spot of accessible for entry level, give you some strength to, it can survive some mistakes. They're durable with 14 wounds and they're Marines.
Hmm.
Um, they got some really great stuff. Fantastic for, getting into it. And also if you just want to take a team to do really well, they have the legs to do it. So,
For sure. No, I definitely agree with your assessment that they, as far as obviously at the time of this recording, this is kind of like the elite meta. But they definitely feel like one of the more fair elite teams, and I wouldn't be surprised if they're like a team that past future data slates probably stays the same for a while. I don't think I've heard many complaints about them, so definitely maybe a good one to pick up and learn right now. But moving on, so I guess for that new player, let's say they decide to play Nemesis Claw and they've built and painted their team and they're ready to start playing games with it. For you, somebody who's experienced with the team, what is like a piece of advice for somebody that is like new coming in that can kind of help jumpstart somebody's skills a little bit early on? Something that I guess the best way that I like to put it is something that maybe after a few games clicked for you where you were like, man, I wish I was thinking about it this way 2 games ago. It would have made my life easier. Do you have any like tips like that?
oh, sure. So I think one of the biggest changes they made from last edition to this edition is the strategic ploy. Um, let's see here. This is, I don't know the names, just so you know. I never learned the names to anything.
I'm really
I
bad at
just
it too.
like, yeah, yeah. It's the free fallback or reposition,
Okay.
but you have to move further away from the team.
Hmm.
Now, last edition, it was you do a free 4-inch move with fly before the game starts. So it was the equivalent. It let you make some really strong alpha strikes, and that was actually a real feels bad because you
Hmm.
would take this move and it was like I could potentially indirect shoot on open like half your team the first like it was really tough, and I'm really glad how they changed it. And a lot of people, I don't think I've seen a lot of people using it that much in this edition, and it's really great.
Hmm.
One things I love with it is you can set up an aggressive turn 2 or turn 3 strike, and if you lose the initiative, if someone takes it and they can hit that guy, you can pay a CP and then run him back to safety. So it lets you have this flex of set up a strong strike, and then okay, it didn't work out. They got the initiative. They're going to take the initiative and they want to go for that guy, run him back behind a door, run him back outside of charge range or outside of shoot range, you know? And I love that flexibility of like, you can set it up to give yourself the best of both worlds.
Yeah.
Move a guy up, put that threat out there, and then you almost kind of force them to somehow like if they win the roll off, now almost they have to take the initiative. They can't give it to you. So it gives you more CP. Boom, run this guy back, keep him safe. Um, and I feel like people learned like the last edition, it was all about use the ploys to get more aggression. Like the ploy moves you closer, makes you more of a threat.
Hmm.
This idea of keeping someone safer with a ploy lets you present the threat early and then keep them safe if you need. Um, I can get there's a lot of like there's so many other ways you could use it, but I think for starters, it's really interesting. It's one of the few teams you can really do this with.
Okay.
Move that
Really
guy
cool.
up, present the threat, and then run him back if you lose the initiative.
I love it. All right, so next up, I want to ask about loadouts. So obviously, Kill Team is not much of a list building game. Some teams have more list building than others, and for some teams, it kind of comes down to like the minutia, whether it be in the operatives you choose or the weapons you give the operatives, or just little things like equipment. So loadout wise, how do you decide what operatives to take? Are there certain things you don't take? Are there certain things like what helps you? What are kind of your go tos? I guess.
Right. So this is also one of the reasons why this is a great team for if you're transitioning to it, if you're trying to learn the new edition or get into Kill Team, there's not going to be many choices. A lot of this is
Hmm.
predetermined for you. Like, okay, you got the Visionary, you got to take them. Um, if you're going into elites, worth taking the plasma pistol. Otherwise, worth taking the bolt pistol for the double shoot. Right.
Yeah.
Um, there's not much choice with that. Mostly, you're probably going to take the chain blade, but like whatever, like however you want to run your leader, have fun. Then after that, you got the skin thief, the screecher. You always take them. Like there might be a couple matchups where maybe you drop the screecher. The skin thief is an always take. And if you're trying to like, if this is like get into it and learn the team, I just say you just always take those models. Like really top level, there might be a couple matchups where maybe like I'm thinking Plague Marines. Um, the Plague Marines are hard to deal with in melee. So maybe you go more shooty and less melee, but like
Hmm.
that's you could still get by with it, right? But like you got those two melee operatives, you're always going to take them. You're always going to take a gunner. You're just always going to do it. I can't think of a time where you don't. And then the biggest question is, do you take the fearmonger or a heavy gunner or a warrior? And generally, I feel like it's going to be the heavy gunner or the fearmonger. Horde teams, you just take that fearmonger.
Okay.
If you're dealing with models that have 7 or 8 wounds, I think it's just you just take them. Poisoning objectives, good enough melee, good enough shooting, good. Into elites, the fearmonger actually could have some play. You could bring the fearmonger. It's going to be more difficult to work around. You got to like it's going to be the board control and how you poison objectives. Like it's going to be a tougher thing, but I think there might be some play with them. But the easy play is the heavy gunner. Um, that's the model you're going to want to take generally. So if you go into, you know, models with a lot of wounds, other elite teams, other Marines, heavy gunner with a heavy bolter. Um, Otherwise, 8 or less wounds, you're going fearmonger.
Okay, perfect. That was a very thorough answer. I love it. Really cool to know. And also, the Fearmonger is, in my opinion, the coolest looking guy in the team. I mean, he's so sweet. I just want to take him
Oh
all the
yeah.
time, even though I can't every time.
Right, yeah. And by the way, if you want to though, it's not so suboptimal that
Hmm.
you could. Like he is a cool looking model and it's fun gameplay.
Hmm.
Like the Fearmonger is one of those things I think that makes the team fun.
And he got a
Like,
little better too compared to last edition, didn't he? Just like a
oh, he
little.
did, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, the poisoning objectives, when you move on, you take 2d3 damage
Hmm.
and then you're poisoned, so you take d3 at the start of the next turn. So
Oof.
if you poison a key objective, even against an elite team, and here's the thing, the fun thing, elite teams don't worry too much about that. They're like, oh, no big deal. I've got 14 wounds. Like,
Yeah.
I don't care about your D3 damages. But one
Next thing you
elite model
know.
moves on to a key. Yeah, they're going to take 3d3 before they
Wow.
start the next turn. And then it creates breakpoints for melee for the other operatives.
All
So
right.
that's why, like, you could, like, once again, it's not optimal. I'm not trying to say, like, no, Jimmy's saying bring the Fearmonger into elites. I'm just saying, like, hey, there could be some play there. He's a fun model. He's cool. Um, if in doubt, I would take the Fearmonger because I'd rather have a fun game with
Yeah.
cool looking models.
You're starting to convince
So
me to take it against elites now. But moving on. Next question. TAC ops. This is a quick one. Uh, Everybody wants to know what TAC ops to take. What do you like with Nemesis Claw?
this one's definitely matchup dependent,
Hmm.
right? Like, so you can take Seek and Destroy or Infiltration. And I'm going to be honest with you, I haven't taken Infiltration TAC Ops much this edition.
Yeah.
Um, So I can't speak too much of that. I know some people, there's a few boards, there's a few things that infiltration can work well. I don't think infiltration works as well with elite teams. And like implant is tough because you got to keep a model alive. And if you're running Nemesis correctly, you're not trying to leave people alive.
Yeah.
You are trying to end people. So I'm not a big fan of infiltration. I'm not a big fan of the infiltration tac ops for this team. But seek and destroy. Um, I think Champion is going to be a good one. Into Elites, it's an auto take. Um, and my son kind of gave me some tips on Champion. He loved taking it with Legionary. And a lot of people just thought that, like, if you don't win the initiative, Champ can be tough. But you can save a counterpunch. You can just save, like, that model that goes, like, present the threat. And you don't have to be the first action. It can be one of the later actions. It can be like the Melta can be the last thing that rolls out. But I think Champion works well. Champion even works well for this team into hordes because with Vox Scream, it's really easy to find one model that can get a double kill.
Yeah. Okay. Really
And
cool.
if you get one, you still get one. Like you don't need to get six. Like there might be turns you get one, but I think Champion, I think that's probably gonna be more the go to. Storm objectives is a difficult one to get.
Hmm.
It's, I mean, it's just that storm objectives is not necessarily. It's a difficult, it's swingy. You have to know how
Yeah.
your opponent's going to position it. If you play too strong, you just end up not scoring the tac ops at all. It's interesting. So I think if in doubt, you start off with this team running champion, and you can mix in. I think the tac ops are the harder one for this team.
Yeah.
Infiltration might have some play. But I think when you start with this team, when you get into it, I think you'd start with champion and you build around that.
Okay. Really cool. So last year and the year before that for 12 days, one of my favorite questions was to ask how players like to set up on turn one. But turn one is a lot less explosive this edition than it was in the past. So I'm just going to ask you, generally speaking, give us a quick overview of how you like to play in I'm going to say the early game. So turn one, maybe early turn two. Like, how do you like to stage? What are you looking to set up with Nemesis Claw?
Ooh. So I think, well, this is going to be fun for this, all the 12 days of Christmas, this edition, because turn one setup is so much less
Yeah.
stressful. It's one of my favorite parts of the edition. You can move over your models so you're less concerned about blocking models out. You can generally you're going to stay safer. The thing I love about Nemesis is turn one, your guys are going to be obscured. Like
Hmm.
the guys in the backfield, even if you forget, as long as you just keep him close to heavy terrain, that's just an extra level of protection. Someone finds a way to go and break a cover line, you're still obscured. It's going to be a lot to help you.
Hmm.
The biggest things I look for is if you take the fearmonger, there's going to be a key objective you're going to want to poison. So putting him in a place where you know you're going to be able to do a move dash and poison an objective and keep him safe. Um, like getting that poison off turn one is a great. There's so many things you can't do turn one. You can't do the mission actions. You can't do anything on the objectives except poison it. So getting that off before turns two starts is really big.
Hmm.
And this depends on the mission. Some missions you want to really protect your back objective. Some missions you want to protect the center objective. Um, you're rarely going to get the poisoning off on the opponent's objective.
Yeah.
But if there's a key objective you want poisoned, really I like to focus on that fearmonger, making sure he's able to do what he needs to do. Um, Other than that, it's gonna be a lot of just trying to spread out threats and really keep models like you can really focus on just two with elites. You don't need to do the whole board. Just
Hmm.
like where they're going to want to go to stay safe. And I'm a big believer in keeping that leader safe for the first couple turns. I'm rarely going to be using him as a striking force on turn two. He's probably not coming out till turn three. So the leader's going to be kind of more in reserve. You want those prescience points. You want that benefit from him. And I want him as an end game surge. So he's going to be held back safe. The fearmonger is going to be in striking distance of whatever objective you want to poison to then set up for turn two.
Hmm.
And then the rest of it, your Skin Thief and Screecher are going to be kind of the forward models to present threats. Like you want those to be the first models that are threatened by the opposing team. So they're going to be more forward.
Okay.
But yeah.
Very cool. All right. So, Jimmy, this is a fun one. I want you to try and recall, think of a moment when you're playing in a tournament and you're running, or not necessarily a tournament, maybe you're just playing with friends or is at the local store, and you're playing Nemesis Claw, and you do a play that is like a Nemesis Claw play that is so cool that like you wish it was recorded or something, or like maybe somebody saw it at the table over and was like, oh my god, that was awesome. What is the flashiest, coolest, classiest Nemesis Claw play you can come up with that you've done?
Okay. So my favorite, it was one move against Baki at Bay Area Open, and I was going against Blades of Cain, which I was losing the board control. Like the blades were getting the kills, they were control like my models were dying, and Baki was convinced he was going to have the match. And I did one move that literally swung the whole game, and I was able to come back and take it by like a point.
Mm-hmm.
And it was I charged in and I got a kill. And then I was able to pay for the 3-inch move, the dash or the charge after a kill. And he had forgotten about that. And that was able to get me over onto a point where I was able to get one more primary
Ooh,
to get that point.
that must have felt really
And
cool.
it felt really cool. And
Yeah.
especially like when you go against a very good player who knows these teams
Mm-hmm.
and just watching his face, like the realization of like he redid the math and he's like, oh no. It was like it was great. And
Yeah.
like that's what it's the subtle things with this team. Like everyone goes to the Vox screen. Like
Yeah.
that's like the big powerhouse move, right? That 3-inch charge or dash after a fight. I've had like all my favorite moves have been with that. Like you charge and get a fight, and then you dash and then throw a blast. Like there's some fun ones where you can really just do some serious damage with that extra move after a fight. And I think my favorite one was winning that game, even though it's literally just dashing onto a point. That doesn't sound very exciting or sexy. But all the best plays that people don't see coming come with that
Yeah.
3-inch move after a fight.
I love it.
Amazing flexibility and control for that team.
Yeah. All right, Jimmy, we have one more question. This is an important question. So, year one, I did favorite Christmas song. Last year, I did favorite Christmas movie. This year, I'm asking everybody, tell me your favorite. It could be a food or drink that you enjoy on Christmas time.
Okay, this is great. So one of the things I have a tradition with my kids,
Hmm.
we do an eggnog testing, like tasting.
Okay.
So
Oh,
we
that's
do
cool.
like I go, yeah, we go and get a bunch of different eggnogs, I go to a bunch of different stores and we get like 8 or 10 different eggnogs, flavored eggnogs, different brands, and then we just do a blind taste testing. So I love eggnog, and then it's fun to add the mix of there's so much variety, and then by the end we all have diabetes, and it's great. So
Well, this is
it's
this is a perfect one for the first day. I feel like eggnog is like such a classic Christmas beverage. It's like I can't think of anything more perfect to start it off on. So thank you for that, Jimmy.
oh, absolutely.
And thank you for coming on and joining us on the first day of Kill Team. There are 11 days to go until Christmas, and 11 more factions that we're going to talk about. And I'm very excited to get this all out there for people. We get so much positive feedback on this series. So again, thank you for joining us, Jimmy. Guys, tune in tomorrow for another Kill Team surprise.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Hey, one thing, I don't know if I can deviate for a second.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to
Last
go.
shout out?
There was something, okay, well, not even a shout out, just a crazy Jimmy thought that I want to share and get your feedback
Please
live.
do.
So, Spain did a thing at Worlds. They went around and they interviewed a lot of people who was the sexiest kill team player. And there was collusion afoot. Every person who spoke Spanish, I don't care if they're from Argentina or Spain or Mexico, they all voted Alberto Cortez, who, fine, I guess he's sexy or attractive, but I sensed collusion. So I feel at LVO we need to have a US like resurgence of finding out who is the sexiest kill team player.
Okay.
And I think that we need to make this more of a thing because the Spanish speaking community, they're unified. They are unified, and we need to figure this out. Um,
I eagerly
so
await how that goes. I cannot wait to see the answers.
fantastic. I'm trying to get Dakota to like make a sexiest kill teamer award.
He'll do it.
Um,
He'll definitely do it.
I think I think he will. Then he'll win it, and then it'll be like, oh, he'll just give himself the sexiest kill teamer award. Like, let's be honest, that probably will be what happened. Anyways, okay, sorry for that sexy diversion. I apologize, but I felt like I needed to throw that out into the ether.
Beautiful. All right, everybody. Subscribe, like the video, come back tomorrow, do it again, and have a very sexy Christmas.